All right, and we are live with Jenna from North Fraser Plumbing. Jenna, I'm not going to butcher your last name. I think it's Sholinder. Did I get that right?
Sholinder, pretty close.
Sholinder, pretty
Yeah.
close, pretty close. And you are joining us from the West Coast today, West Coast of Canada. How is everything?
It's beautiful today. It's super sunny, and I feel like summer has arrived. I hope, fingers crossed. We're in a dress today.
You skipped spring.
I know we did. It was snowing I think 3 weeks ago, and now it's super sunny. So I don't want to jinx it though. I'm just enjoying it while it lasts.
Yeah, well, welcome to Glowjoy's Everything Construction Corner podcast. My name is Gloria Marie. For those of you who don't know me, I am the host of Glowjoy's Everything Construction Corner podcast, and I am also the owner and one of the co-founders of Glowjoy Construction. So for the folks who don't know you, Jenna, and have not been in a group of construction women over the past couple of months where we all get together and network and, learn from each other and glean from each other's business. Tell us who you are and a little bit about North Fraser Plumbing.
Yeah. My husband and I started the company in 2018. He has about 20 years plumbing experience, and I was a project manager before that for an executive staffing firm. Mm-hmm. And I knew I always wanted to have my own business. I've always been very driven to be an entrepreneur. So I was pushing him gently towards doing that with me. I think for a while he didn't feel like he was ready for it. So I had started my own nutrition company, actually, left the executive staffing industry, went to school for nutrition. I'm certified nutritionist, so just have that on the side. But I had my business going, and while I was getting my client base going, he was working at another plumbing company, and they needed some help sort of just keeping organized in the office. I said, okay, I'll come in and file a couple of days a week, and that quickly escalated. I think I was there, I don't know, under a week, and they had me doing project management. So I really liked the construction industry. It was a lot more laid back and friendly than what I was used to in the very corporate world. It was, comfortable right off the bat, like just real people. There's no facade. Everyone's just who they are. I love that. And so I was there for 7 years, I think. We had our first baby while we were there. And then we quickly thought, Wade's working 3 hours away from home. It's a huge commute. 3 hour and a half each direction. And he wasn't seeing our oldest very often. So we thought we really want to do something closer to home. And now, I had that project management experience. I knew the back end. He knew the front end. I always say I think he's like the best product I could ever market. So I really believe in him as a plumber. And so we started our own company in 2018. And in the meantime, we had another baby, and we moved houses, and we did all this stuff, and grew our team. There's 6 of us now, actively hiring. If anyone is local, please send us a resume. It's gone really well.
Well, my next question would typically be why plumbing, but it sounds like you just answered that question within the first question.
There's a little more if you want. I can expand.
Definitely.
Wade grew up in, his dad owned a septic company, and they did some plumbing, and he loved that. So he knew he always wanted to be a plumber. Like, he was dedicated. I think he did pre-employment plumbing at 16. So I guess 20 years ago now. And I can't say that I ever thought I'd find myself owning a plumbing company, but there's so much of it that I really like. And especially, like, we do a lot of the creative side of things, like helping people pick their fixtures and design their bathrooms a little bit. And I love that stuff. And then just like working with so many people in the construction industry, there's so many overlapping trades that just, I like that sort of human aspect, if that makes sense. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. We have great relationships with two plumbing companies. One is on the north side of New York, so like Bronx, Yonkers, Westchester County. And then the other kind of works with us in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and
nice.
Queens, which is like more of like a lower New York City proper Manhattan area. Each has its own different certifications and licenses and everything else. And, we pretty much only work with those plumbers unless we're partnered with another GC and they bring their own plumber, or the building has
Yeah,
their plumber, because a lot of times especially with these old buildings, it's better to work with the building's plumber who already knows
knows.
the building versus trying to bring somebody new in to probe and figure it out. And, I'm an advocate always for getting multiple bids, but in the trades, especially electrical and plumbing,
Yeah,
if you have somebody good,
that you trust. Yeah. You
just
don't want to flood. I think, especially in the stuff you guys do, which is like
mm,
high rises and lots of
yeah.
floors. If you flood the whole thing. So, yeah, you want to trust your plumber for sure.
Yeah, you want to trust your plumber. We typically do some of the waterproofing, or, our framers who are putting down, the foam board or the Durarock board or whatever the plans call for, right?
Awesome.
Whatever they're building the shower pan out of, it could be Sika,
Yeah.
whatever, depending on the project. But we definitely are always there from a quality assurance standpoint. And then
Hmm.
obviously coming in to do the finishes, taping the seams, and, making sure that the tile layout goes with the plumbing. And so
That's
you're
so
right.
great.
A lot of the trades do overlap and end up
Exactly.
having to work together. If we were in the same town, I'd probably be looking at you to
Oh,
work with us, right? I'm just saying, like, you find a good person, you look at someone like you to work with us as the plumbing expert, and then
hmm,
us coming in as the trade and saying, okay, well,
yes.
this plumbing is, going to be centered this way. So let's lay out the tile this way and do this, and this, and, all of the stuff. Right. And a lot of times we have designers that come and do that with us, or architects. But a lot of times we don't. So
Yeah.
it's us and the plumber
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and the owner of whatever business, and, whatever discount tile they got at Floor and Decor. Shout out to Floor and Decor though.
Yeah.
And we
It's
do
nice
have
to
some
have
folks
your
tuning in from,
options.
yeah, we do have some folks tuning in from Canada. So just want to say hi to Graham, and I wanted to say hi.
Nanaimo.
Yeah. And I want to say
Yay.
hi to anybody else tuning in. You don't have to be shy in the comments. Let us know you're here. Even if you're watching or listening from site, if you are catching a replay, hashtag replay, let us know in the comments later on that you are catching this replay. And we are so grateful that you're here. So, of course, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all of those things so that we can grow the channel. And, of course, grow this voice for the construction industry. There's a
Absolutely.
lot of really great construction industry podcasts out there. Last month was Women's Month. And here we are in April, and
Already.
we've got another woman. How do you feel? I'm not about putting women in boxes. So welcome to April. And, we're going to
Yeah,
kick it
we're
off
still
with
celebrating.
we're
Yeah.
still celebrating. We're going to kick it off with a woman. And we had some amazing guests this past month, and we had nobody for plumbing. So I was like,
Oh, yay.
we've got to round it up with plumbing. So how do you feel about that title? I listened a little bit to your podcast with Corley of
Mhm,
being a woman in construction, and all the pressure from some people to
mhm.
own that title, and from others who are just like, "Psh, just another person on the job site.
I think maybe when I was an employee in the plumbing industry, there were certain people that asked to speak to a man. And I don't know if that's just the times changing.
Hmm.
Now, like 13 years later, 10 years later. But now I think they are asking Wade to speak to me sometimes, and that's kind of nice. So I think I've made my own relationships. Like Wade has made relationships with his own relationships with our customers, and I have too. And we both provide a different perspective, equally valuable in their own ways. I think those are my favorite days when we go to site together and we can both provide our own ideas about how to make things work. And he might not think of some things that I might. And, but I think maybe when I started, there was some of this imposter syndrome, like, well, I don't actually have my plumbing ticket, but I own a plumbing company, and let's own that. Let's, let's go forward in that confidently, and just to deal with the issues that come up. But I do go to Wade for a lot of the super technical stuff, although I know so much more now than I did when I started in this industry. So yeah, I think there's room for both of us.
No, I'm sure. And, they try to make a big deal. And I am one of I'm just another person on the job site, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, just by my attitude. But I don't feel like we belong in a week or a box, or anybody for that matter, from a perspective of diversity. And I understand that it's in an effort to help promote said minority group, but I feel like in essence, all it does is segregate us further.
Yeah, I guess highlight the fact that you're a woman, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up reluctantly in New York, and in the United States, you can get certified as a minority owned business.
Oh, wow.
And when you're certified, you're then allowed to, or get invited to, work on certain projects for the government that are set aside for minority businesses. And so, I noted that Coralie had asked you that question about you all promoting you as a female in the business and a couple in the business. And folks, I will put this episode in the show notes so you know exactly what I'm referencing. But, and everybody knows who Coralie is in this world, because we talk about her a lot on this podcast. But she's amazing. She's a connector. So shout out to Coralie. And, I noticed that you mentioned that you all started to now more promote it because you've taken more of a business development role as well as the owner. So Wade is more of like field, and then field management and operations in the field, versus you are doing business development, podcasts like this as part of that, and showcasing, North Fraser Plumbing, plus perhaps running the office side of the business as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was sort of in the background for a long time, even in our social media. I think that's evident. I was the one taking the pictures, and you'd never see me or hear about me at all.
Right.
I was really promoting this as Wade's business. And I think a lot of people thought I was just there helping him. I remember one customer calling about a year in, and I answered the phone, and I think she said, "Oh, Wade has a secretary now." And I just laughed because I was really, I think, the driving force behind this at the beginning. And I've been there since day one. And there might have been that stigma at first, but now I'm like, I'm here. I'm in front of the camera. I'm doing something. I love the business side of things. I love this connecting with people, like the strategic thinking and all of that side. I think that's kind of where I shine. So I think we've been lucky to find each other, because he's so great at the plumbing side of things, and growing the team, managing those guys and training them all to work in the fashion we do, where like attention to detail is really important to us. And so that's him, and he's great at it. And for me, it's more like, okay, this is what we're going to do next. This is the next customer I want to target, and this is how I want to run the office. And we should be doing this follow-up after jobs are complete. And so we work super well together. So now you can see in our social media, and I will thank our marketing person, Katrina, for that, pushing me to get in front of the camera. And so I'm doing a lot of video where I'm in there and I'm walking around and showing job sites and things. And I probably didn't feel comfortable doing that a year ago, but now I'm starting to grow those muscles and put myself out there as the owner of this company. So getting there.
Good for you. Good for you. Good for you. I think, and I've met a couple of husband and wife teams, especially working in the South. And we actually work with a couple of these teams, one here, one in Texas.
Oh
And then
yeah.
we have a developer who's a husband and wife duo, both in Brooklyn and also down in Florida. So we work with a couple of
There's a
husband,
lot of
wife.
us.
Yeah, there's a lot. And, for me, I've always admired it because my grandparents worked together, but my grandfather had like a business and he also had a full-time job. So really my grandmother ran the business and the
Mhm.
business development and the store and all of the ops and everything. And he just did installs on the weekends.
Yeah.
And I mean, I say that, like I don't want anybody to get mad at me, but like that's
Yeah.
literally like he
Yeah.
just did installs on the weekend. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But so to me, it was always like her business, right?
Yeah. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. I think it's good to hear that that's changing too. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously for you, that was your grandparents, but I
yeah,
think that's starting, like women can own construction companies and they can be the driving force behind it now. Whereas that was
yeah,
not the case 10 years ago. I don't know.
right.
That's funny. Like there's so many now, I didn't know, but so many people we've connected with that are husband and wife teams,
Mhm.
and to see the dynamics between them, it's great. Actually, I feel like those are the most successful companies in a sense because they offer two different perspectives. So
Yeah.
there's definitely challenges though. I mean, we have two young kids and we work 24/7. It's like the first thing we say to each other when we wake up.
Oh
We're
no.
talking about jobs in bed or before you fall asleep. Oh, hey, did you call that person? Or it's gotten better as our team has grown, but we definitely have a hard time shutting that off and just being husband and wife again. Um,
Yeah.
so it's a blessing and a curse working together so closely, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is what Tony Robbins calls work-life integration
Yes.
versus the whole work-life balance situation that corporate really tries to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you choose entrepreneurship, and
Or is it
I've
that?
I've
Yeah.
yeah, I've been an entrepreneur for many years on and off and tried many businesses, and construction is really where I've landed and found my place as well. And I
You get me.
yeah. Yeah, no, I totally get you. I totally
Yeah.
get you. And I also understand that, not every day is going to be peaches and cream with
Mm-hmm.
your partner, regardless of whether it's your spouse or not.
Yeah.
Right. And, what Tony Robbins is selling is like you make your schedule right. In the beginning, it's going to be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But then as you start to bring people on board and as you start to grow, hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
you can let some of that go, right? Or you can
Absolutely.
take turns. You have two young kids. I'm sure you all take turns. I always tell women in construction or new moms if they want an industry where they can like go back to work, I'm like, you can partner with your spouse and
Perfect.
construction starts at
Yeah.
7:30. You
Yes.
can drop off your kids or pick them up at 2:30 if you need to. Like
Never miss
most,
a field trip ever, and I'm so
yeah,
lucky. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So you have this liberty that other people don't have, which is
Mhm.
obviously something that you pushed.
Oh, yeah. That was a big driving force for me, just having I don't
Mhm.
actually now thinking if I had a full-time job, how I would
Yeah.
balance that. I have no idea how.
Mhm.
The world isn't set up to support the primary parent. I'll say that because it could be mom or dad. Um,
Mhm.
but if you have 2 weeks vacation, and that's one thing we really try to push is that here you have unlimited vacation days. They're unpaid, of course, because construction it's
It's
hourly, but
construction.
yeah, but you can take as many as you need to. I'm not going to force you into 2 weeks and having to get all of your life done in those 2 weeks a year.
Right.
That's not I don't know. That's just how we wanted to function. And because we have children of our own, like if they have a sick day, you need to take a sick day for them. I mean, that's, that's life. I feel for the people who don't have that flexibility, because it would be so challenging to, I'm just thinking our kids were just off for spring break for 2 weeks, and then they're off in like a month and a half, I think, for the summer. And then there's 2 weeks to Christmas, and I don't know, 15 Pro D days. It's a lot. I don't know how people do it. I mean, I take my hats off to working parents all over the world, to be honest. It's amazing what they can accomplish in a day. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I think with rising costs of daycare, the pandemic, people just moving into more rural areas, more people starting to homeschool their kids, that more couples are going to start to see this opportunity, whether they're homesteading or not, old farmer way, that this is a better way to go, So I certainly see that 100%. And I see a shift in Gen Z kind of waking up to the fact that the screens, these things are like no good for us, right? And I recently saw an article in the Wall Street Journal, which is a newspaper here in the United States, and you are my first guest since this article published. So we're going to talk about it, but they're talking about how statistics are showing that Gen Z is actually waking up and choosing the trades over colleges, and that there's been an uptick, according to recent reports, of Gen Z, so the generation past us millennials, actually looking at trade school as an option. Having spoke at 2 high schools for the month of March, for Women's Month, I also noted that there was a lot of kids raising their hands and asking questions about the trades, even those that were interested in going into engineering, but still maybe doing a co-op or a trade program while still in high school, so that they can have hands-on skills in plumbing and electrical predominantly. So let's talk a little bit. I know that you're not a plumber and you don't have a ticket. And for folks in the United States, a ticket is that red seal, I believe, that Canada requires. It's very similar to our master plumber's license or master electrician's license, general contracting license, etc., carpenters. So the unions probably understand this better than anybody, but those are the requirements in Canada. So let's talk a little bit about requirements in Canada for plumbers and for young people or women, men, anybody really looking to transition careers. There are office roles we've talked about: project managers, project coordinators, procurement, HR, all of that stuff. There's that hybrid role, which you play between business development, the field, marketing, and all of the things. And most business owners have that hybrid role. But there's also the field, which is what people think when they think plumbing company automatically, or electrician, mechanical technician, etc. So in Canada, what is the requirement to get that ticket?
You mean just educationally speaking?
Yeah, educationally speaking. And then do they have like a certain number of years they have to be an apprentice?
I think I'm just now trying to, I think it's 6,000 hours for apprenticeship. I'm just trying to remember now. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that.
I put you on the spot.
Yeah. But we do have apprentices on board here, so I should know that number right offhand. But I know that it is 4 cycles of schooling, and they're each, I believe, 2 months at a time. And Canada actually offers grants. I think there's one grant of $1,000 after you finish your first 2, and then $1,000 after your next one, and then $2,000 when you're done, and that's to buy tools and that kind of thing. And then like starting wages, you can come in as like a second year plumber, and 6,300 hours.
Yeah, you were pretty close.
Good. And we start our apprentices at like 23 with like basically no experience, and quickly moved them up from there. And then
Nice.
journeymen are making like 40 to 50 an hour,
Okay.
pretty much right off the bat as soon as they've completed their ticket. And it's only 2 months at a time, so you could put them all back to back, but it's good. But then, of course, you need the education piece, or sorry, the experience piece.
Right.
But I think a lot of people do first and second together, and then they can come into the market at a bit of a higher price range. And then they do about a year of school, another, and then another year. So it can be quite lucrative, to be honest. I mean, project managers are making even more than that right now. Everybody's trying so hard to get people.
Yeah.
We're being super competitive with not only our salaries, but also like our benefit packages are huge in the trades out here. And then we have like company vehicles, like the whole lot. So
right.
Yeah, we're all trying to attract people. We're all companies out here need. I remember when Wade was first started his apprenticeship, it was hard for him to find any companies that were hiring. And now, like, you could walk down the street and get 3 job offers. So it's certainly changed. It's hard being in a business ownership position, but it's great for people who are thinking about getting into this industry.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it.
Send
us your resume.
So let's talk about the open role in your company a little bit. There's 3. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about these open roles, because really this is about promoting not just the people, but we are on a platform, LinkedIn, obviously, where, it's originally known for having your online resume and recruitment, right? It's just now recently really, I think, kind of been elevated as a actual social media platform, and people are actually tuning in and joining live streams or clubs like the Everything Construction Club, right? Or, community. So let's talk about these open roles and, how our LinkedIn construction community can maybe help point some people your direction.
Awesome. We are hiring for, I think the one we need most is a junior project manager. So they would be working with myself and Wade to sort of push the business forward. They would be making relationships with our customers, our suppliers, our employees. They would have our project coordinator assisting them to put together fixture packages for clients, and they would be monitoring material orders and fixture orders. And what else would we have them do? Estimates on site, that kind of thing. Really sort of like, eventually I'd like this person to kind of move up into like a COO position if we continue to grow, if they stay with us that long, but want to get them in kind of at the ground floor and train them up how we'd like. And this person would come to site and make sure everything was up to our standard, and that sort of thing as well. Quality control. So that's someone we really need the most, I'd say.
Is plumbing experience required? Like, could you
not
take a
100%.
project? Could you take a project manager that maybe has project coordinator or something else experience in another
construction
business?
Ideally, because I think that there's a lot of overlap in that. Just to make
What about IT?
Maybe, just having like a project flow going. Yeah.
Well, not only that, IT, and I feel like IT and technology is one of those industries that is laying off a lot of people.
Oh, okay.
And they really don't see the overlap between construction and IT and networking. But if you're talking plumbing, it's a network of pipes.
Yes.
Okay. And
we'll train. We will train.
So I think if we are talking about a ground level position, and I'm not telling you how to run your business here, but I'm encouraging people. I'm encouraging people who are in IT or have recently been laid off from IT that maybe shouldn't have been in IT in the first place.
Mhm.
They just thought, hey, we have to get a job, we have to go to college, we have to check this box, blah, 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 whatever. But you still like to
Yeah,
work with your hands, or maybe you're a programmer or something of that nature, operationally minded, an assistant project manager role or a project management role within a company such as yours, where you could also implement software as a part of this.
I would love.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
is something that, I think could be beneficial. And so I'm just throwing it out there to the people on LinkedIn that these are the type of people that would excel in this role. Obviously, if you have a background in construction, you don't have to have a background in plumbing. I used to sell appliances. I knew nothing about appliances. I do now.
I used to be in corporate. Knew nothing about plumbing either. So
Right,
yeah.
exactly. So, ideally, how many years of any type of work experience would this person have?
I'd say 1 to 3 in project management,
Great.
or 3 to 5 in plumbing. And I don't. It could be one or the other. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I think somebody that can keep up with me a little bit, because I'm kind of ambitious, or maybe keep me grounded sometimes,
Yeah.
because my ideas are kind of out here and you need to rein me in. That would be nice. Those would be kind of the main things I'd look for. Somebody that can, keep the ball rolling on things and keep things streamlined and make those relationships.
Yeah.
And the rest we can train. So
All right. So then you have two other roles. And,
yes,
again, folks, she is in the West Coast, right outside of British Columbia, right?
in British Columbia, just
Wow.
outside of Vancouver. So
Just
we're
outside of Vancouver.
we're in Mission and
Mhm.
near the Maple Ridge side of Mission. So
And I'm shaking my
Beaver
head,
Valley.
yeah, like as if I know
You
where
know,
all
yeah.
these yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
know where Vancouver is,
Yeah.
just from a map perspective. And so, anyway, just for the folks listening, now, what about the other two roles that you
The other
have?
two, so apprentice plumbers,
Mhm.
and that could be any range of experience. It would be nice to have some like hand tool experience, even if it was maintenance at another type role sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that could be any range of first, second, third, fourth year.
Mhm.
Um, and then journeyman plumbers
Okay.
as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so folks, you heard it
We are
here
growing.
first. North Fraser Plumber is growing and they really, really need some folks. Now, here is the question, $1 million question, right? Because I am the daughter of an expat. Is people relocating? Would you take somebody, if they're like great as like
Absolutely.
a relo?
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So folks, for somebody who is looking to relocate herself, not going to become a construction plumbing project manager though, although we do need to talk about the software,
Yeah.
and there might be a way in which me and my team can help alleviate some of the stress in the short term and then create some systems with Coralie to help
Love
you
it.
transition into what you need, right?
Mhm.
So maybe this all happened for a reason, but
Absolutely.
yeah, so really the sky is the limit within the construction industry, which is what I have been really trying to hone in on this project. Your business was established in 2018. It
Mm-hmm.
is only 2024.
Mm-hmm.
You went through a pandemic,
That was actually
which
great for construction.
it
That's
was, yeah,
so
it
fast.
wasn't. Yeah, no, it was, I'm not saying it was bad, but you still went through, there was a
It
lot of
did.
construction businesses
Uncertainty.
that didn't make it though.
Yes. That.
So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
great for construction, but the real ones made it, and the ones that didn't need to make it and were faking it, and they
It
are out.
weeded those out. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. And we're in that phase right now as well. So if you're in a position where you're growing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you were to give any advice to any younger companies, right? What would be the first role that you would hire? So obviously in the beginning you and your partner did everything. What would be the first role, and not the one that you first hired out, now that you have this experience?
Oh
Would
yeah.
it, yeah, would it be the same role? Like, what was the first role you hired out, and what would be the first role now that you know what that you know?
The first one we hired was a second year apprentice,
Okay.
and he's still with us. We I think I still would have hired him because he was young enough that we could still mold him in the way we needed. And I think Wade had a hard time letting go of like not being hands-on. I think he still does. He wants to have a voice and everything.
Yep.
But and maybe that's just a business owner thing, but um, yeah, but he could help Wade on jobs. And then we had him very quickly in his own van, running his own job. So I think that was the best position for us to hire. I think you have to have a balance of people who are actively making you money, like you're charging out for their hours, and versus the people in the office that are taking a wage and supporting the process, but not necessarily charging hours or dollars for their hours. So
yeah, they're an expense. They're not.
I'm,
They're not.
I'm an expense. I'll say that. I do like we make a profit from the fixture packages I do, but Wade and the team in the field is that would be my first hire. Grow that as much as you can until you feel like you can't manage it all by yourself. And then I got my assistant Taylor, and now we're having the project manager who will take stuff off Wade's plate and mine. And then help us grow to the next level. So give me room to do more podcasts and things I like to do. So
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it wasn't until this past year that I actually was able to start doing some of these things myself also. And my business is still relatively young as well, and it kind of blew up a little bit during the pandemic, like you mentioned. And it went in a bunch of different directions for a lot of different reasons. And I've really now, as of 2023, and just looking at everything with a really close lens, figured out what it is that I really truly want to do with it. My business partner for me is my long-term assistant who is with me from like day one, and also with me in my previous business that we, sold and dissolved to a different company. And so, she's been around for a really long time, and she's taken on a position now where she's more of a silent partner, and is just going to take a step back so that we can grow the business right to what we want it to. But she's always been my sounding board. She's always been the, oh no, you got to reel that in, we've got to finish this portion and whatever. And that's so I know that it is not easy to grow a business, and that there's many ups, downs, sideways, left. Was there ever a time during this 8-year period where you were just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to quit and like go get a job?
Absolutely. So many times, I think.
I only laugh because every entrepreneur has that moment, and like I knew the answer to the question, but I had to ask it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and as long as one of us still wants to do it, then we pull back in. But I think that the ones that succeed are the ones that don't give up, no matter what issues they face. They just push through and figure it out. The only way to know that you're going to fail is to give up, right? So just kind of making our way through each issue as it arises, and strengthening muscles in areas that we're not confident. We don't know what we didn't know starting out. I think the hardest part probably is just like jumping in and being brave enough to do that. So we did that. Now we're here, and we just kind of keep pushing through. Yeah. So lots
of that. An old school landline phone ringing?
Yes, that was my assistant's desk. But I sent her home early so I could do this with you.
All right, people, they still use landlines.
We do. We have office phones. I know. Yeah. And cell phones. We got both.
Well, that's so hilarious because I emailed an architect actually last week, and I called the landline that was on the footer, and I emailed him because he was like not answering the phone line, you know, and he
Yeah.
emailed me back and was like, "Oh, geez, we don't use that number. We put the actual phone in the closet. Here's my cell phone."
It's in the closet. Yeah. That's so
Mind
funny.
you, this architect is like been around for 40 plus years.
Yeah.
So probably had that landline for like ever and a moon and
That's
like
so funny.
not gotten rid of it. And I'm like thinking in my head, why is it in your signature though?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. I always thought like I wasn't an official company until I had multiple lines at the office and a answering machine that has like
right.
press 1 for Jenna and press 2 for Wade. So we have that now. I can feel like we're legit, you know? So
That is so hilarious. So hilarious. I remember the old VoIP lines, which will set you up with something like that. We have like a text line. So we
technically,
do have, yeah, we have a sales line, which
yeah,
is one number. We have like an office line, which is another number that goes really direct to me at this
yeah,
point. Although I'm also training like a mini Gloria
yeah.
and a project coordinator. And, you know, she really is like our software project coordinator. And she kind of like runs, she's an APM, but she runs our software.
Cool.
And, you know, everything that has to do with that. And, you know, I have learned that, yeah, multiple phone lines for different things, but we definitely use the Google and the WhatsApp and the all
Yeah.
of that, all of that. I have no physical phones anywhere.
Nowhere. Yeah.
Nowhere. But I also don't have a physical office, like actual office just for our business, right? A lot of the people
You're
that work with
mobile.
us, yeah, a lot of the people that work with us are remote. We have a project manager in Texas. We've got, you know, my business partner who's in Kansas City. We have a project manager in South Florida. You know, I am in New York, right? And even within New York, we have a project manager in Brooklyn, you know, because Brooklyn is like way too far. So, I mean, and these are not full-time folks by any means. Everybody comes on a project basis, right?
Cool.
And we try to keep a pretty healthy flow of projects come in and out. And eventually, you know, I would love to have some full-time office brick and mortar that I put together, because I feel like you're not a real company until
Why do we feel that way? I don't
you
know.
have you have an actual office. And while we do have an office, I mean, I have an office in Brooklyn and I've got an office also in Manhattan where I rent a desk with some architects that I like work with,
That's cool.
conference room, receptionist, everything. So I
Yeah,
have an office.
you do.
Still don't feel for whatever reason, because we don't have that landline phone.
Oh, it's the landline. That's what it is. Yeah, you got to get one of those.
Yeah, so I'm going to work on getting my landline.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you back the rest of your Friday.
Okay.
Any last words for the audience here on LinkedIn, YouTube, or wherever you're listening to the replays?
Well, join the trades. I think that there's so much opportunity here. And even if you could never imagine yourself in this industry, think again, because there's just so many options. Basically, anything that another company would need, trades need too. And we need your insight. We need that fresh thinking. So, so much opportunity.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Join the trades.
Join the trade.
Last episode, we talked about electrical. Today, we've talked all things plumbing, family business, you know, working with your spouse, growing your business, open roles. And she has these roles open. I guarantee you, almost every plumbing company across the company, because it is busy season and it has been raining and it's crazy. And now is the time that we upgrade the HVAC systems for next winter and everything else. So I guarantee you she's not the only one hiring, y'all. Just join the trades. We've been talking about this 14 episodes deep. Join the trades. And of course, make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe to the Everything Construction Corner podcast. Jenna, thank you so much for your time today. Really, really appreciate you. Next time, we are going to have Wade come in and do an interview. I know a lot of times there's one or the other that will be on the camera, but you know,
good to see him.
Yeah, it would be great to have him on. Maybe we can do like a joint episode with Graham. I know Graham's a little shy too, Corley's husband. So maybe we could have like a boys club day. Yeah, a boys day and bring them in. All right, everybody, have an awesome Friday. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.